All right, you sick fucks. Welcome back to another deep dive, and this one is going to get messy.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking lovers and other strangers.
Yeah.
Get ready to dive into some seriously fucked up relationship shit straight from Wikipedia, baby.
You know what's wild? This whole thing started as a Broadway play.
Makes sense, right? Bunch of people whining about their relationships just like a fucked up therapy session.
Exactly. And get this, the movie was a total hit back in 1970.
Really? How much did they rake in?
A cool $7.7 million bucks.
Damn. That's like, what, 50 million today? People really love watching other people's relationship shit implode.
More like 55 million, adjusted for inflation, of course.
Okay, Mr. Inflation Expert, but that still proves my point. People love a good train wreck, especially when it comes to love.
I can't argue with that. And speaking of train wrecks, have you seen this cast list?
Holy shit. B. Arthur, Cloris Leachman, Diane Keaton. This is like a who's who of Hollywood royalty.
And don't forget, a young Sylvester Stallone as an extra.
Wait, Sly's in this. The Italian stallion himself hiding in the background of this relationship shitstorm.
It's true. Small roles, big dreams. You gotta start somewhere.
And hold up, they even snagged an Oscar for Best Original Song.
For all we know, right? Later covered by the Carpenters.
Yeah, that's the one.
Talk about a tearjerker.
Definitely had a few nominations too. Best Supporting Actor for Castellano and Best Screenplay. Talk about getting robbed.
I mean, Castellano as Frank Vecchio is pure gold.
So they got robbed.
Absolutely robbed.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this love triangle. Or should we say love hexagon? We've got Mike and Susan, the almost married couple, about to self-destruct.
A ticking time bomb just waiting to explode.
Right. Mike's got a serious case of cold feet. Wants to ditch the whole marriage thing.
And his reason. They've been living together for over a year, so why bother with a piece of paper? Classic commitment phobia.
What a buzzkill.
Talk about bad timing, too. Susan shows up to their engagement party dressed as a bride for Halloween.
Ouch. Talk about rubbing salt in the wound.
Right, like a giant middle finger to Mike's commitment issues.
And hold the phone, because it gets even messier. Mike's brother Richie and his wife Joan are about to split up too.
This family's a walk-and talkin' soap opera.
Total chaos.
Yeah.
And then you've got the parents, Frank and Bea. These old school Italian folks are losing their shit over Richie and Joan's marital woes.
It's like they're straight out of a Scorsese film, The Original Marriage Police.
Except way more hilarious.
For sure.
Okay, so the Wikipedia page for this movie throws out some interesting categories. Adultery weddings.
No surprises there.
Right. This whole film screams relationship drama.
But it's more than just surface level stuff, right? These categories hint at the deeper themes the movie's tackling: infidelity, the whole institution of marriage, societal expectations. It's pretty deep for a rom-com.
Wild to think that a movie from 1970 can still be so relevant today. We're still wrestling with the same shit love commitment, figuring out what the hell we're doing with our lives.
Exactly. Lovers and Other Strangers isn't just some dated rom-com. It's a time capsule of anxieties and desires that still resonate with us today.
All right, so after all this deep diving into this messy as hell movie, what's the takeaway for our listeners? Should we all just say, fuck marriage and shack up like Mike and Susan?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on there. Let's not jump to conclusions.
All right, but seriously, what's the point?
The film isn't giving us a blueprint for life, okay? It's not saying one relationship style is better than another. It's more about sparking a conversation, getting us to think critically about these issues.
So it's more about raising questions than giving us all the answers. I can dig that. Life's one big confusing mess anyway, and this movie just throws that mess right back in our faces.
Exactly. Makes you laugh, cry, maybe even learn a thing or two about yourself along the way.
And isn't that what life's all about?
Pretty much.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The film's origins on Broadway, its Oscar-winning soundtrack, its all-star cast, and its timeless themes of love, commitment, and everything in between. We've dissected it, analyzed it, maybe even ripped on it a little bit.
But at the end of the day, it's up to each individual viewer to decide what resonates with them, what strikes a chord, what makes them think, what makes them question their own assumptions about relationships.
Right on. So, dear listener, what does this all mean for you? Should you watch Lovers and Other Strangers? Is it worth your precious time?
That's for you to decide. But if you're looking for a film that tackles these complicated themes with a good dose of humor and intelligence, if you want a glimpse into the changing landscape of relationships in the 1970s, and if you want to see an incredible cast at the top of their game, then Lovers and Other Strangers is definitely worth a watch.
Plus, you get to see B. Arthur before she became a goddamn golden girl. And let's be real, who doesn't love a bit of B?
Absolutely. Her presence alone makes the film worth watching.
All right, before we wrap things up, I got to throw this out there. This whole movie is about the contradictions of love and relationships. Mike and Susan are living together, but he's terrified of marriage. Richie and Joan are married, but they're miserable. Frank and Bea are this old-school couple who seem to have it all figured out, but even they have their moments of doubt and frustration. It's like everyone's searching for something, but no one really knows what the hell they're looking for. Kind of makes you think, huh?
It does. And that's the power of the film, right? It doesn't offer easy answers, but it forces us to confront these big questions about love, commitment, and the meaning of it all. And that's something we can all relate to no matter what generation we come from.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
So go forth, you magnificent bastards, and watch Lovers and Other Strangers. See for yourself if Mike and Susan should take the plunge, if Richie and Jane can salvage their train wreck of a marriage, and if Frank and Bea really have all the answers. And hey, if you figure out the meaning of life along the way, let us know.
Stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop questioning the world around you. That's what makes life interesting, right?
That's it for this deep dive, you beautiful freaks. We'll catch you on the flip side.
It's like the movie's holding a mirror up to society, showing us all the cracks in our ideas about love and relationships.
And let's not forget the adultery. That's some seriously fucked up shit.
Oh, absolutely. But it's done with this, sharp wit and intelligence. It's not all doom and gloom.
It's like they're winking at the audience, saying, hey, we know relationships are messy.
Exactly. And speaking of messy, the whole wedding thing is a ticking time bomb.
Oh, yeah. All those anxieties and expectations just waiting to explode.
It's like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
You've got the families clashing, the bridezilla moments, the groom's cold feet. The movie just milks it for all it's worth.
But even with all the laughs, there's this underlying sadness, especially when it comes to the couples who are already married.
Right, like Richie and Joan, they're stuck in this rut, constantly bickering. Their misery just oozes off the screen.
It's like they're the poster children for marriage isn't always a fairy tale.
And that's a tough pill to swallow, right? Especially when our culture still pushes marriage as the ultimate goal. But this film challenges that. It suggests that happiness isn't always tied to a ring on your finger.
It's like a giant middle finger to those traditional expectations. Maybe there's more to life than just getting hitched.
Exactly. The film explores other ways of relating to each other. Cohabitation, open relationships, even just being single. It reflects how society was changing back then.
And it's still relevant today. We're still trying to figure out this whole love and commitment thing.
Absolutely. But the film's not saying any one way is the right way. It's about showing the pros and cons of each.
Like Mike and Susan might be shacking up, but they're clearly not happy. It's not like they've got it all figured out.
Right. There's no magic formula for relationship happiness. It's about communication compromise, working through the shit that comes up.
And sometimes it's about knowing when to walk away, even if it hurts.
Exactly. Being true to yourself and what you need, even if it means going against what society expects.
Which is a powerful message, especially for women. They're often pressured to follow those traditional roles.
You're right. The film challenges those gender norms, even if it's not always super obvious.
Like Susan. She's not just waiting around for Mike to decide. She's got her own desires and ambitions.
And she's not afraid to call Mike out on his bullshit either.
Damn straight.
Mm-hmm.
It's so refreshing to see a female character who's not just obsessed with finding a husband.
It shows that women are complex individuals with their own goals and desires.
And, to be fair, the film doesn't make Mike out to be the bad guy either.
Yeah, he's just a dude struggling with his own anxieties.
Kind of a lost puppy, trying to figure out life, torn between his family's expectations and his own feelings.
That's a relatable struggle for sure.
Speaking of relatable struggles, what about those parents? Their attempts to sabotage Richie and Joan's separation are hilarious.
Oh my god, I know, right? But also kind of messed up.
It's that perfect mix of funny and sad that this movie does so well. You're laughing, but you also get their desperation.
They're clinging to those old school values, trying to hold on to the traditional family unit.
Which is understandable. They're from a different generation. They're trying to adapt to a changing world.
Exactly. And the film doesn't say they're right, but it helps us understand where they're coming from.
It's like they're saying, we might not get it, but we're trying our best.
And that makes them kind of endearing. They're flawed and stubborn, but they love their family.
It reminds us that even good people make mistakes.
And that sometimes the best we can do is learn from them.
And sometimes it's about accepting that we can't control everything.
Especially when it comes to relationships.
They're messy and unpredictable.
The only thing we can control is our own choices.
So after all this deep diving into Lovers and Other Strangers, what's the message? What should our listeners take away?
I think it's that relationships are complicated. There's no easy answer.
And maybe the best way to figure things out is to watch a movie like this.
Laugh a little. Cry a little. See if it sparks something in you.
Exactly. It's about engaging with art and letting it help you understand yourself a little better.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So it's not about right or wrong. It's about asking the tough questions. This movie's like therapy for our messed up love lives.
You got it. Sometimes you need a little cinematic dysfunction to shake things up.
Preach. So, final verdict time. Should our listeners watch Lovers and Other Strangers? Is it worth it?
Here's the deal. If you want a movie that's smart, funny, and brutally honest about relationships, then hell yeah, watch it.
It's like a time machine back to the 70s. But the stuff they're dealing with, it's still relevant today.
Oh, totally. Plus, you get to see B. Arthur Cloris Leachman, a young Diane Keaton. It's a goddamn acting masterclass.
B. Arthur alone is worth the price of admission.
No arguments here. Okay, but before we wrap this up, I gotta hit you with one last mindfuck. This whole movie is built on contradictions.
Oh yeah. Lay it on me.
Mike and Susan are living together, but they're scared of marriage. Richie and Joan are married, but they're miserable as hell.
And Frank and B. They seem like they have it all figured out.
But even they have their doubts and struggles. It's like the universe is playing a joke on us.
It's like we're all searching for something, but we don't even know what it is.
Exactly. And the film doesn't give you any easy answers. It just leaves you with more questions. Which is kind of brilliant when you think about it.
Makes you think about your own messed up love life.
For sure.
Yeah.
So to all you beautiful freaks out there, go watch Lovers and Other Strangers.
And tell us what you think. Does Mike get cold feet? Do Richie and Joan work things out? Do Frank and B really have all the answers? And hey, if you figure out the meaning of life along the way, let us know.
Stay curious, stay engaged, and keep exploring those crazy, complicated relationships. That's what makes this whole ride worthwhile.
Damn straight. That's it for this deep dive, you magnificent bastards. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.